Creators Game, episode 39. I'm Daya Miller.
Jay Smith.
Chris Hill.
And we had 10 days off, I believe. I go on in the morning and I look at our YouTube account and I'll be like, when's the last time we uploaded? It has been 10 days. So what's everyone been up to in the last 10 days? Who wants to go first?
Nothing too much, right? Just a bit of work. Played lacrosse on the weekend in Niagara Lake last week. We were 2-2. I really was surprised even the Friday night how many people were wearing Creators Game shirts and hats, and good to see all the support. Then nothing much. I know Chiefs start their playoffs tomorrow. Different things are going on. Rivermen, right? Last week we called that, and then I even had a guy. I was looking for some more sports cards there on Facebook, and this guy Peter Kane. It's like, oh, I'll send them to you for free. And then here he shows me him and Nick Rose. He's a big Peterborough fan, and I was like, hey, I have a podcast too, and sent him the Nick Rose interview and stuff. He's like, all right, I'm gonna be a follower now. So I was like, yeah, I'll tell you. I was like, I'll shout you out. That was really nice that you sent me free cards, and then I went to a couple games and got some local guys to sign them myself. So.
And then are you going to be bringing that to your card show?
Yeah, yep, card show tomorrow.
Yeah.
5 p.m. at Level Up.
5 p.m. at Level Up. Come check it out. $22.98. See Vale at the card show. He's got, I don't know, how many cards do you think he got?
I got a lot, yeah.
Yeah. I was looking at that basket there, and I was like, oh, that's the holy grail right there. What have you been up to?
Not a whole lot. Prepping for... I fly out tomorrow, which will be August 17th, to start season 5 of my other show. So I've been just kind of focusing on that because, you can pack as early as you want. You always forget something. I was out shopping last night because I realized that all my clothes are too big because I dropped some weight.
I seen you on Facebook talking about that. Are we going to get to enjoy that journey with you? Are you going to talk about that weekly? I'm all for it.
I can give you a few updates, but you can't reveal all the secrets while I'm gone. I do know that I will get home in time for quarterfinals at the President's Cup. I do feel bad that I it's just the timing. I'll be away from the President's Cup from the Rivermen until I get back. So, they do their job, get to the quarterfinals, because I won't be back until the 27th of August. And I believe that's a day off for everybody at the Prezi. I'll have to check the schedule again. But, the President's Cup format's a little different this year. Instead of everybody playing everybody once, and then they figure out standings, there's 2 different pools. So, I've been concentrating on that. And, you guys got me out of bed again already and asking me difficult questions.
Well, I'm excited. I love Saturday podcasts. Like this is my thing. I love to wake up and I'm fresh, man. I'm just fresh right now. No energy has been entered into my body. It's all positive. So I'm fresh.
I hear you. I just got to wake up a little bit. That's all.
It's all right. I'm here to wake you up. But we have a lot to talk about. A little bit of updates, I guess. For myself, I've been planning the skills competition. What do you guys think about that? Have you guys heard any feedback? Because there's been a lot of people actually interested in coming down to the skills competition who aren't from Six Nations.
Well, in all honesty, when people ask me about anything to do with this show, I just direct them to you.
I get the phone calls. I get the texts.
Yeah, and it's like
sometimes I have to ask, who is this? They just start going in. They don't introduce themselves.
Yeah. Well, I just tell them, direct everything to Daya, because for myself, I can't speak for Chris, but for myself, I'm here as co-host because of life and having everything else going on. And any questions that they ask me that are too complex, I just say talk to Daya.
Seems like people are excited, though, some different things, right? And then branching out. And
I know there's some interest of Ganowagi hunters coming down. Mm-hmm. So hopefully that would mean maybe Trey would join them as well. I know a lot of some of our youth down here are big fans of him and big fans of the Ganowagi hunters. Shout out to them. So I know there's some interest for that. And there's also some interest of other communities coming down that didn't get named in the reel there. There's a reel out right now that kind of advertising this event. So go check it out on Instagram. Follow us at The Creators Game. But there's a lot of interest of other communities coming down here, and I feel like this could be a really cool cultural exchange.
Well, I think too with lacrosse season winding down, some teams have been done for a while. It gives them something to look forward to, something to do. I know that I've seen on social media people already asking, where can we play, for the winter, keep their sticks in their hands, kind of thing. And there's a lot of winter programs, so this will give them something to look forward to as well. And like you said, cultural exchange, more camaraderie, make new friends, see old friends. So hopefully it blows up.
Yeah, there's the people who are reaching out, who are just saying, hey, any way I can be a part of this and help, just let me know. Mm-hmm. That's the cool thing. And it's people not even from Six Nations. So that's good when people are like, hey, I'll bring a whole bunch of people down type thing like that. So,
yeah.
And we're also going to be announcing that day a little bit more information on the Creators Game Ambassador Program, because me and Gary have been cooking up ideas.
Yeah,
every now and then I sit down, I'll be like, here we go, Gary, here's all my ideas. And I'm going to have questions, and I give him time, and then we come back, and then, but we're almost ready. So September 20th is the date. Make sure that you go out and register, because the registration is going to be up right after this podcast. I will have it in the description right here, so you can register your kids for this skills competition. It's for, just come out and have a good time and, meet some new people.
We got to give a shout out to Gary. He's behind the scenes. He's the one that works the magic here. Shout out to you, Gare. I know you can hear me. People can't see you, but without Gare, we wouldn't even be doing this.
Yeah, Through the Red Door always bring us the best quality we can, and they're actually going to be streaming the event for us as well too. So this is a really cool thing where all these youth have the opportunity to get interviewed and have their first experience in this media type environment. We've had a photo shoot here for all of Six Nations Minor Lacrosse, so some of the kids have already been to Through the Red Door, but now Through the Red Door is going to come to you guys, and the Creators Game is going to bring them, and we're going to try to make this really cool for the community and just show what's possible. Even though that we're on Six Nations and we're kind of like, oh, we got bad internet or we're lack of resources, we can still do really cool things, and I think it's gonna be really great to show that.
Well, maybe Chris can show them how to pick corners, since he's such a sniper in Masters now.
Yeah. What would you say your stats are these days in the Masters?
I have 11 goals so far. I did a lot of passing on this past weekend.
That's more than I was. That's more than I was. That's more than I was thinking. I was gonna say 3.
Way to deflate his tires. That's 11. That's more than I thought.
Lane gave me a nice piece of armor mesh there, so I decided to test that out on the weekend. It was pretty good. I never kind of $50 and never knew if I really wanted to try it, but I gave it a go and was a fan of the armor mesh. Hey, maybe he wants to sponsor or throw some stuff, right?
Yeah, there we go.
I know they're kind of big mesh company coming through the last few years.
Yep, Armor Mesh. I actually just followed.
There we go.
Yeah, see it. Just followed on Instagram and all that stuff. So Armor Mesh, shout out and keep supporting. But let's get into everything lacrosse. Where does everyone want to start? It is Saturday morning right now for everyone. So later on, let's just start with the Rivermen.
August 16th, Saturday morning. Start with the Rivermen. Okay, so when I'm done here, I have to go right to Whitby because we have a 4 o'clock game against Brooklyn, game 2 of the OLA finals. Yeah, we're down 1 game, but anybody that's followed the Rivermen knows that just because we're down doesn't mean we're out. Look at the Hamilton series. There was rumblings that Hamilton had already made arrangements schedule-wise for the President's Cup because they were that confident they were going to get there. Surprise, they didn't get there. Brooklyn game 1, they beat us, I think it was 11-3. I'm not going to make any excuses. They were a dominant team. They did their job.
Who they have in net?
Deacon Knott.
I know.
Deacons,
and you were not scoring.
No, I like how you played that.
He was doing his job.
Deacon's a good goaltender. You can't take that away from him. Doesn't matter what jersey he's wearing. He suits up for the Philadelphia Wings. Deacon and I have a pretty good rapport back and forth. Friends with his dad. Through talking to his dad, we have a lot of mutual friends because his dad's a softball player. Actually, he's good. Excuse me. He's good friends with. Friends now used to be the biggest competition for Gary's brother, because Gary's brother is a excellent softball pitcher. A good friend of mine too. His name's Mike Joseph. Shout out to Mike. We're swapping stories, and Deacon's a great guy. He just wants to play. He's a good kid. But yes, he's hard to figure out sometimes. We've figured him out in the past. Last year we beat Brooklyn in the OLA final. They beat us twice regular season this year. We beat them once, come back again, and that was probably our biggest loss this year. I'm not making excuses again, but we had several guys out of the lineup. President's Cup's coming, resting a few. Some have nagging injuries they want to rest up. Had some call-ups, and I think they did okay. We know what adjustments need to be made, so we'll see what this afternoon brings.
Okay, and you were there because you were calling the game as well, right?
Yeah.
And I believe that you hadn't got there just yet, but there was a little bit of a little standoff there. I don't know if you were there yet. Who was doing the little standoff at the beginning there?
I don't really like dropping names because
I can do it if you want.
Oh yeah, there we go, Bill. There we go.
Just hang on, Bill.
Okay.
But I mean, on this show, what I have to get across is I'm sitting here as Jay Smith. I'm sitting here as a co-host. I'm sitting here as a lacrosse dad, a lacrosse fan. I'm not sitting here as a GM of the Rivermen. So my views, whether they're political or personal, are mine. They're not the Rivermen's. They're not the GM positions. They're mine. They're Jay's. They're not GM Jay. They're not Rivermen bench staff Jay. They're mine. So I know there was a lot of stuff happened before the game. There was a certain player on Brooklyn, big guy, uses a wooden stick. I don't even know if he knows how to use it. He was, there was banter back and forth between him and some of our players, and I get it. It's a mind game. It had to be Rory Smith last year. We had Rory when we did warm up, stretching, and everything. He did it at center floor, at the center line. He did it, and Rory defended the line. He defended our end. He defended our players, and that's what it looked like this fellow was doing. I kind of chuckled, and I said, nobody defends the line but Rory. And him and the guys are back and forth. He even said to me, he says, I watched the show. I watched the podcast. And I said, well, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for the support. He goes, yeah, you're a loudmouth. And I appreciate that comment because that's my job. That's my job, is to sit here. I could probably cause more controversy than what I do. Hence why I won't drop names. But, Chris was commentating.
Who was it, Val?
Like we said, I don't want to get Jay in trouble there. I know he had the speech and stuff, but like we said, Tanner Theed, I don't know, and kind of never seeing him play before, or not even see, I missed that and didn't hear that till after about what he was doing pregame, but kind of hearing some rumbles, right, of, they brought this tough guy in and this and that, and kind of seeing who the Rivermen had in the lineup, right? They had a solid tough guy themselves brought up, and I even think I said on the call, maybe we'll see some action tonight and stuff, or maybe we'll see if, you guys, you guys didn't play him in the regular season, right? Did he join them late? End of the season, kind of more or less.
We called up a guy. I mean, we had 5 defenders out of the lineup, so we had to call up who we could, who was available. So we called up a couple of defensemen from Senior C. We called up one O guy from Junior B. Even prior to that, we got word that if there was going to be any fights in the game, that the series would be canceled. Okay, well, so we get to rest. We can't control what happens on the floor. I mean, players get heated. Discussions happen out there. I get it. A lot of chirps happen. I get it. Is that going to be for every game? Are we going to get pulled aside before every game next season and say, well, you can't fight? You might as well say, well, you can't check either. But, it is what it is. At the end of the day, we called up who we thought we needed. And not necessarily to fight, but we needed a gritty defender. We had 5 guys out. And
like you said, that Tanner, maybe when him and your guys' player was kind of, hey, I'm like, oh, here's the fireworks, and he just completely backed away and let the refs get in there, and I was kind of surprised. I'm like, oh, I thought this guy was supposed to, I'm expecting something, and then maybe, okay, I'll give him credit. He doesn't want to fight or get hurt. You're in the President's Cup. He breaks a hand or hurts his face or something. He doesn't want to get hurt, but it was kind of...
He's going to hurt his face if he gets in a fight.
But later on, how he kept trying to play that enforcer role, and that's when I think when he walked up to Aiden Fern and their face-off guy kind of got wrestling a little, right? And then that next face-off, Aiden Fern's is out there by himself out on the draw waiting for the Brooklyn player, and he walks up, and I'm sure he was telling him, don't mess with our face-off guy again, and I'll do this, that, and this. Not quoted, but I'm sure that's what he was doing, right? And I'm like, this guy can't really police the game as a Bob Probert or Rory Smith. He already backed away from a fight. How can you kind of, where, okay, you don't want to get hurt and stuff, but then anyway, once you backed away from Gavin, you can't keep playing that policeman enforcer role of that, how he was kind of talking junk on the bench and talking to this guy, and then even talking to your other call-up, Dale Burning. I was like, Dale's not afraid. He kind of got in there and talking the other night at Lacrosse. Dale's like, yeah, I took a cross-check from Tanner Theed too, right, kind of in the head, and I was like, hey, I gave you credit though. You went right into the net. And
well, it leads me to, I thought about things all week.
He was happy about it.
There's been so many incidents this year. I don't know about across the OLA. I don't know about across all the leagues. But there's been incidents where referees have heard derogatory comments, and players have faced suspensions on it. One of our players did, goalie for the Rebels. He got nailed with it too. So to my question is, if there's things being said and the referee hears it, they act accordingly. There's suspensions given out. There's fines. I get it. But what happens when things are said and they don't hear it? Because I've heard officials say, "Oh, I didn't hear that." And okay, so you didn't hear it. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. So in my opinion, and I could be wrong on this, timekeepers, 30-second shot clock, whoever's in that timekeeping bench, they're game officials as well, to my understanding. So what happens when a timekeeper is accosted or has things said by a player to them? They are game officials as well. They've heard it. What action can or should be taken? Because the same fella had a lot to say to one of the timekeepers at the Rivermen, and she's a young woman. She's like 5'1", 5'2", maybe 110 pounds. So does this guy feel big and bad because he intimidated a young lady? There was things said. She talked to the commissioner of the league, because I was right there when she talked to him. Now then, if the officials didn't hear it, did it happen? But at the same time, she is also a game official. So had this guy said this stuff to a referee, I'm sure action would be taken. But what will happen, or what has happened, I don't know, because I've heard nothing of it since then. But when a player speaks to a timekeeper like that, they're game officials. What can be done? What should be done? Has anything been done? I won't get into what was said, because even though it was told to me directly by her, and I heard her also repeat it to the commissioner, what will happen? That's my question. But at the same time, you know, if you watch the footage, I went back and watched the game on YouTube and documented what time this fella walks over to the end of the bench and starts talking to the timekeeper. It's on camera. And then about 20 seconds later, she calls one of the refs over. 2 refs go in the penalty box, talk to her. 2 refs go over and talk to the Brooklyn bench and the player. But is that the end of it? Because it appeared nothing was done during the game. I'm hoping something will be done after the game, but I don't know.
I think that's when I was like, hey, what's going on here? Because it did take a while, right? And there was no explanation of what was going on, or seeing him not knowing if he's talking to the timekeeper or talking to Gavin, or I think at the time who was in the penalty box. I wasn't sure, right? Like, I'm like, he's still kind of beaking off.
If you watch the game, go back and watch it, because I looked at our player that was in the penalty box. If he was talking to our player in the penalty box, our player was oblivious because he didn't respond. He didn't even turn his head.
He was more like, I guess he was more looking on the floor, I would say, your guys' player.
Oh, like he was standing there looking. He was standing there looking right in the timekeeper's box.
Yeah. No. I'm saying your guys' player was looking more on the floor.
So I don't know.
He was looking more.
All I can go by is what was said to me directly by this young lady, and what she said to the commissioner. My thing is, what will be done? I mean, like I said, I got to leave from here and go directly to Brooklyn. I guess we'll see when we get there if anything's been done.
And then, and I've never watched really Tanner play. Obviously, the brother's more known, Dawson Theed. He's a good player, and he is a tough guy, right? Like he can.
Well, he's
got
big
that
as
hockey.
an ox.
Yeah, he's huge. He's got a hockey, like that high-end hockey background and stuff. So that's why I was thinking maybe more of, and like you said too, your guys' players, I think too, were also. They were kind of taking him one-on-one defensively, right? He's not really not really knowing of him. Looked like he played like 2 years junior A, and then the rest before that was just a junior C guy, right? Like wasn't.
I never
even heard. He just wears. He wears Halifax gloves, probably his brothers, and like you said, right?
I've never heard of him until I saw him that day.
Yeah,
I had heard of him, like, oh yeah, they got this guy, and there was Instagram pictures of him and stuff, but I'd honestly never heard of him. Until
like honestly, that was the first time I've ever watched him play.
I mean, and I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm not saying that he didn't play, because there's a lot of players out there that I've never heard of, mostly because when it's time for practice, time for lacrosse season, time for this, I focus on my guys. Maybe 1 or 2 guys on the other team. Okay, this is what they've done. This is what they're capable of. This is who we got to focus on, kind of thing. But other than that, like, I really don't pay attention because I also have a life.
Would you say, having their GM two different senior teams, do you think that makes life a lot easier for them?
Probably for them, yeah. I mean, shout out to them. Shout out to, I believe it's Gavin Prout.
Yeah.
Shout out to him for being able to pull that off. I mean, again, everybody has lives, everybody's got to work, and he's able to still do that because being a GM takes up many hours of your life.
He doesn't have to fight or argue with himself, right? Like, I want this guy to play Senior B. Okay, I'll call him down from the lacrosse club team and I'll put him on them. Or, hey, I want him to play Brooklyn Lacrosse Club, the Senior A. Right? That's how he was kind of seemed to be.
It does make it a lot easier because, like you said, there's really no argument. I mean, he's probably got to discuss it with the coaches. I need this guy on this night. I need this guy over here this night. Whether that's how it goes, I don't know. I'm sure that they have. I mean, if you look at both organizations, they're pretty well run, and so I'm sure that there's mutual agreement across the board with both executives and both bench staffs. I mean, there has to be if you're working and you're that fluid with able to do it. I mean, I know for us working with the Chiefs, there's scheduling conflicts. There's players are away. A prime example is Blake McDonald. He was a call up for the Chiefs from us quite a few times. But Blake also has a job, and he's also coaching. He's in Korea right now, so he's not available to either one of us. He'll be back for President's Cup. He'll join the team late as well.
Yeah, not seeing him last week, and then I was like, oh yeah, I forgot they flew out already early to practice. And like you said, because they used to have, I think Brad MacArthur just did Brooklyn Senior A, and then after COVID there, he's now a head coach of Florida Tech Division 2. So, and then must have been Gavin took over being a local hero for the Whippy area, I guess, right?
Yeah, and I was also in attendance, and one thing I noticed was your team did play a part in the chirping of.
100%.
But your team's rather good at it. They're rather. I'm very entertained, like just being up there playing the music, and it gets quiet, right? But your bench over there, like they're very good at chirping. You have what's a Brooker? He has some good chirps. He was going hard at him, so
That's and the whole atmosphere with the Rivermen is we're a big family, and whether it's the smallest guy or the biggest guy, they'll stand up for each other. And that's like Brooker's a veteran with the team, and he's not going to let anybody get away with saying or doing too much to one of his teammates. That's the family atmosphere. Like I said, we're a lunch pail team, blue collar. If you're playing for us, it's for the love of the game, and it's a big family. And any new players come in, they're adopted pretty quick.
What I noticed is Brooker's really good at talking to the refs and actually getting their attention. Like sometimes you'll see captains go up and they'll just stand there for the sake of standing there, and then they're not really listening, or what are you listening for, or like what information are you bringing back to your bench, right? But when I see him standing there, he's actually having a conversation with the refs. He's engaging. He's questioning. He's saying, hey, like let's look at it this way. Let's look at it that way. Like so, it's like you can see that like. He's a little different than some of the other captains that, like, not on your team, but other teams I've seen, they just stand there.
Well, Brooker's well versed in lacrosse and the rules and in everything. So when there's discussions that have to happen, Brooker generally goes up. He's 9 times out of 10 the voice of reason, because if something happened and it's a heated moment, our guys are fired up, the other team's fired up. Brooker usually is the voice of reason. But in my opinion, you can't let that calmness fool you, because Brooker's also full of fire and brimstone too. Watch him play.
He still ends up in the penalty box every now and then.
Occasionally,
so, yeah.
And like you said, chirping-wise, it's probably different when you kind of have a guy you never heard of saying stuff, and a guy like Brooker or some of those other players have played high level, right? Tons of President's Cups, played in the NLL, right? He's played more than his fair share of NLL games. So when you kind of got a guy that came off the street.
Yeah, well, like what he was saying on the bench was he just kept calling him fat and basically saying that, hey, that bench guy's never, that doorman's never gonna let you out. They're not gonna let you play, man. You're just there for show. That's what he basically kept saying to him, like over and over again, like through the glass.
Well, I mean, and if it was done for intimidation purposes, it didn't work.
Yeah, and that's the story. I was, like I said, like, he maybe he doesn't want to get hurt. Maybe he had his reasons. And I said to myself on the bro, I wouldn't want to fight Gavin Sky either, right? Like,
here's the thing.
But like, yeah,
if they brought him in for intimidation purposes, he's out there when he did get his shift. He's out there. Everybody's watching to see what he's going to do. Is he going to do this? Is he going to try to hurt somebody? Is he going to hit somebody real hard? Everybody's watching him. So on that aspect, he was doing his job when he got out there. we'll see what today holds. We got to go to their barn, so I'm expecting a little different attitude out of him. If he's able to play or if he's suited up, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know.
And I kind of was like I said, Dawson played Quebec hockey and then like university hockey in Halifax. I looked at his like hockey stats and I didn't see anything crazy. Like
this guy just going in.
Yeah, I was like, I don't mean to be like that, but I was just like, hey, I wonder if he was, maybe that's where he was gone from lacrosse. Maybe he was playing hockey somewhere, or maybe, but the elite page stopped a long time ago with like not much junior experience.
You know what was like, a piss off though? One thing that was a piss off is. And one can only assume where these fans were from that were watching the stream.
Oh, yeah.
But they're taking personal shots at you.
Yeah. Oh, that was going to be my next question. Like, did you guys end up, you guys still got the comments on?
I think they just go, like, those live stream comments then end. But that's what I thought, too. I was like, I'm dealing with the Brooklyn fans, right? And then they're all the ones that are saying stuff, right?
What were some of the stuff, like, what were some of the comments?
I only got, I think I might have read.
Like, this guy sucks or something like that.
Read whatever Chris shared, but at the end of the day, I'm like.
It was a far-fetched from when I went to my master's thing, and everybody was like, hey, you do a good job doing this, and hey, we like you on the call. And I'm like, oh, thanks, like confidence-wise. And then all of a sudden, these, obviously, they weren't around in any other streams, right? So I was kind of like.
Well, they're probably like fans of the show who are just trying to heckle you, right?
No. I think they were like Brooklyn fans.
Okay.
Saying.
Well, they're still fans of the show.
Didn't somebody comment that the commentator sounded like Homer?
I don't know, because some of it wasn't coming. We had a different kind of like we weren't using a different iPad and some different things. So I noticed at one point like things weren't coming up as fast like our live chats. So then that's when I kind of when the one guy was like, "Oh no, they wrote this and this," and then I kind of went to my phone one because it wasn't uploading as fast on the different iPad we were using.
I see one comment. It was like, get this guy breathing exercises or something like that.
Well, I know like when I kind of went back and watched, we were using I guess those usual headphones we do are like a wind tunnel thing. So that's when I kind of noticed, like, when I was watching, if I just like said checks hard, you could like really hear it. But I think too, because it was a different, like, it wasn't the noise canceling or anything. It was just kind of like my ears were open, and I think I had it. I know I had it up at one point. I had to pull it down, but I noticed even just talking was where it was. The guy was. The other gentleman that was doing the behind the scenes stuff was like, "Oh, they're not the wind canceling ones because Daryl took those ones to hold sound."
Are they gonna? I'm not saying you got a breathing problem. Chris.
No, yeah, they were. That's when I gave some of our fans props. They were like, "How come you came to this podcast page to talk junk?" And then they were like, they were kind of defending me. So I was like, "Oh, thanks."
But my thing is, even if you do. Does that make them feel better for picking on you if you have health issues?
Yeah.
Did they feel better about that? Are they bringing themselves up by trying to bring you down?
Yeah, and I took it was more of the Homer. That's what, not Homer Simpson. It was I was a Homer. Oh, that's what it was because supposedly that's what they were saying. Like was even some behind the scenes stuff was I was being too much of a Homer.
Here's my thing.
But I was saying, like, Alex Marinier was doing good and different guys, right?
You're never going to win, man. People are just there to heckle. Like, they're all fans.
Yeah.
If they're taking time out of their life to comment, like, they are a fan.
I was doing it.
Here's my thing, though. If they think it's that easy, I challenge anybody that's got negative comments to start commenting or start commentating live stream games. That's my challenge. If you think you can do better, show me.
And like I said, I think it was just I was just so wrapped up in Tanner Thied backing away from fight when I heard he was the tough guy. I even thought I set it up because I was like, hey, maybe we'll see something. These guys got a very physical player in the lineup, And Gavin, hey, he did good. He almost scored a goal that game, right? But I'm like, I'm like, hey, if you just watched Smith Lacrosse last week, he beat the crap out of some guy in Senior C pretty good, and that's been his game since the Rebels days, right? Like he's always a good defender. He's been in Team Ontarios and stuff, Gavin, and
well, that's the thing. If you watch the game, Gavin had a regular shift on defense, played tough D. He seemed to fit in quite well with the defense that we run. He's played for the Rivermen before. He won a bronze medal.
Yeah. I think
at the President's Cup, he won a bronze medal.
I think even just before that, I was like, Tanner Thied's supposed to be the tough guy of this league. I was like, I believe it was the 2022 President's Cup out in St. Albert. A guy on Alberta was supposed to be the tough guy of the President's Cup. I said, Gavin went up to see if that was true, and Gavin ended up beating him up, and so Gavin was the toughest guy out there at that President's Cup. So let's see if he's the toughest guy in the OLA Senior B tonight. And then he backed away, and then I was kind of, and just him going up to Fern, and that's where I was like, why is this guy still like? If he just stopped,
trying to cause penalties.
Yeah.
I kind of chuckled though because at one point I think it was in the second, maybe third period. No, it was in the first period. I can't even remember what period it was. Thunder took a shot on net, and then Theed blew him up from behind after the shot.
He got a penalty on that one, I think, right?
And I was just like, really? Our smallest guy?
No, you can't do that.
And like I said,
do that.
And I like Ohio. I went to Ohio State camp, lacrosse camp back in the day. I like them, so I was like, Alex Marinier, he's a good player, and obviously I like Will McLeod a lot and stuff. And those guys were gonna. And I was saying, hey, they were. Deacon Knott's dad came up, gave me a fist pound. He's a great guy and stuff. So, and he's a great goalie, right? That's when I was like, I'm sorry, Gavin Prell, you're not going to have Deacon Knotts for very long because he's eventually going to be Peterborough Senior A. Yeah,
he should be.
And that's what I said. I think I'm like, he's a really good goalie, and he's not going to be in Senior B much longer, right? Because
my honest opinion is Deacon will be competing with Hutchie, with Drew Hutchison, for a spot with Peterborough Lakers because Hutchie's on the doorstep. He plays for Halifax. He got some game time in Game 7. The other night with Peterborough and Brooklyn, they actually put him in towards the end of the third period, and he played the overtime.
And nothing against the refs, but I think a couple times maybe I was like, Davin Bomber got pushed in the back and Zach Hayward got pushed in the back, and I was like, oh, Davin got pushed in the back, no call there, and Rivermen are looking for a call. If that's a homer, I don't know. Like, I'm just saying, he got hit in the back, the refs didn't call it.
You're all right,
right?
Well, I mean,
they'll stop heckling.
Yeah.
The whole arena's seen it.
Yeah.
Both benches seen it. You saw it on the live stream. I saw it. At the end of the day, the refs are going to call what they're going to call.
Yeah, and like I said, nothing against them, but maybe, and then like I said, your bench is kind of, hey, we want to call there, and Davin was kind of mad, or Haywire's is getting hit in the back. I guess it even seemed like apparently Theed had words for him saying he didn't belong messing with him, and Haywire's like, I'm an offensive player. Theed, like, why are you doing messing with a guy who's a goal scorer when you should be messing with one of our tougher defenders and stuff? I don't know. Like enough. We're giving this guy too much airtime.
There we go.
Well, I mean, I'm glad that you were the loudmouth in this episode.
I got you.
Just because apparently I am. But
more comments on your stream.
Yeah.
Don't turn those comments off either. Do never turn those comments off.
And I'm a fan of Dawson Theed. And like I said, too, I think Six Nations fans are rooting for Dawson. They're not rooting for Tanner. And Marenier, same thing. He's got a brother on the Chiefs, right? So then that was pretty cool, I thought.
Well, that's the thing, though. That's the game they want to play. That's fine. We're both in a President's Cup. I mean, I'm not. Neither. We're still trying to win the OLA title, obviously, right? But again, it goes back to the mind games. Play them all you want.
I know. Me and Dave have a question for you. We were looking at I know even beforehand, I was in the Timmy's line. I'm looking, and I wanted to screenshot the brackets because I had a question for you, and then Dave made the point, right? How come all the
just
teams?
Basically, like, when you look at the brackets there, like, you're playing all the SCON teams.
Obviously, the tougher teams. I'm like, why is that River? Because I knew you guys were playing Allegheny, and I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I said, I don't know if it's like the Founders Cup. Does Brooklyn get to make the brackets, or how does that? And St. Albert and Ladner did win the last 6 President's Cups, but I know they're very well different teams than those years. So that's Brooklyn, St. Albert, Ladner. Obviously, those 2 teams have a great track record, but Alex Bouquet's in net for Ladner, and they have some good players, and St. Albert still has some of those older guys from their run. And the Saskatchewan, no names. I don't know if they're going to go Standing Buffalo or the Brewers or what, right?
From what I hear, Saskatchewan's bringing a team that has some pretty good players. I believe Austin Shanks is there.
Maybe Mike Messenger. And
so we can't take them. You know, they're not going to be a slouch.
Definitely, yeah. Like I said, because they were saying, "Oh, is it the All-Star team?" And that's cool too. I've even heard a rumor that Standing Buffalo may try another reserve Saskatchewan may try to host next year.
That'd be cool. Because it will go west next year.
Yeah.
Actually, they should have been taking applications to host already, because I know last year we had to put in to host. This year, us and Brooklyn put in. Brooklyn got it, obviously. So those applications should have already been in. I don't know who's in charge of making the brackets. I do know that. We have, I believe, Snake Island right off the hop.
Yeah, that's what I think I kind of even forgot that they were in your guys' bracket till looking at the sheet. And like when Daya points out, hey, it's all the native teams, I'm like, those were kind of the 3 better teams.
Well, last year in Ladner, they had Rivermen, Snake Island, and Allegheny all staying at the same hotel, 45 minutes away from the arena, where other teams were right there. So I'm not saying they did that on purpose, but I'm not saying they didn't either. scheduling wise, hotel wise, things happen the way they do. I get it. But as far as the brackets go, I don't know who's in charge of that. Like I said, there was rumor that Hamilton was saying they wanted this and that. Whether that happened or not, I don't know. But I do know all our games in round robin. The 24th game is at 4 p.m. and the other two are at 5. So we get no morning games in the round robin, which works out.
And I was thinking this one, but I think I answered my own question. Would Owen and John be rooting for the Rivermen or rooting for Lane and Allegheny? But hey, they've been call-ups to the Rivermen this year, so they are part of the. They're rooting more for their team and buddies than their dad. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, I went to Tonawanda
the other day,
on Monday night and watched the Allegheny game against Tonawanda, and I got to say that was my first time that I remember being in Tonawanda as a fan, watching a game. Really different atmosphere. It's outdoors. I've never been to a game where you had to take bug spray.
That's what I was going to say. I saw your stats to take the bug spray. And then the big thing, too, is a lot of people, even just the other day when Allegheny had posted their pickups, were like, hey, Colton Marquise was on Ganowagi and that Graspercy, I can't pronounce his name.
I don't know. Right.
But was on the Bucks, and I was like, they're all under the FNL. We talked about this on the ocean. They were FNLA banner, so Can-Am teams can pick up 3 Nations leagues and vice versa.
They picked up Becker as well.
From Tonawanda.
And Craig Seneca.
Yep.
There's been rumblings about that. People have been messaging me asking me why are they allowed to do that. And at the end of the day, we might not like it, but they're both leagues are under the FNLA banner. Like last year, Muskies picked up Winter Rivera, who played Seneca War Chiefs in junior. He was a great contribution to that team. I believe it was him that put them in overtime against last year. Winter now is going for a Founders Cup. But back to President's Cup, back to Allegheny, they drew Brooklyn first game. So when Allegheny has to play the host on day one. I'm hoping they fare pretty good. I obviously know Brooklyn's a tough team. Alleghany's a tough team. They got a lot of big guns on there. You know, Kluche's there, Frazier's there, my own kid's there. Shout out to Lane. I believe he was the league leading goal scorer regular season. I think Gates Abrams had more assists, so I think Gates ended up with a scoring title. But the numbers are there. Kluche, Frazier come in a little late because they took a rest after winning with Buffalo again. You got Goa and Chase and net, and then they bring in Craig Seneca too. So they have 3 really good goaltenders. They got a pretty good lineup. We'll see who does Allegheny replace if they're bringing in players.
I didn't see that's because I was like, they'll keep the goalie, right? But then they'll have to cut 3 other players, right? Like you could have that 26 guy being a goalie.
They're bringing in Colton Marquise, who we all talked to when we were in Ganowagi, and I was half-heartedly making a pitch because I didn't want to get accused of tampering.
Just say I made the pitch for you, right?
But he's a good player regardless of where he ends up. He left the Lakers to play at home. The Mohawks did pretty good. They made it to the 3 Nations final. One of our goaltenders, Dustin Hill, went up there to help them out. They fared pretty good. There was a little bit of a scrum there. My good kid that I had the honor of coaching before, Trevor Stacy, him and Dale and the Caveman Logan went at it. And
it fight on the bench. Even Stephen Keogh, I was trying to think, watching it a lot, like watching that video live on somebody's Snapchat there. I can't remember who's 82 and Stephen Keogh, and everybody was like, Keogh can throw him. He didn't even take his bucket or gloves off, right? Just beat the guy up. And I don't know if they're picking anybody up, but even again, you have such a good team, you pick some players up, you have to cut players. So
yeah, and then that's how, like, even us, if we wanted to pick up, the OLA is considered, I can't even remember the terminology, but we're basically not allowed to pick up players because we're already an A team kind of thing, not MSL A, but when you look at provincial rankings, us and BC are ranked a little higher. That's why we're not supposed to pick players up. If we AP anybody, we have to take somebody off our roster. So Dale Burning's been APing with us off and on. If we wanted to bring him in, we'd have to let somebody go. Shout out to Dale that he's able to. He's even got a game in with the Chiefs this year. He's able to go back and forth, and he's been able to adjust and play at the senior level, A and B. But I don't think it's fair to our players to make it this far and then take them out of the lineup and replace them with an AP, regardless of who it is. But having said that, if we got a guy that, say we got a guy goes down to an injury today or tomorrow, and I say tomorrow because I'm confident we're going to win today, because it's a 3-game series, right? If we win today, we force game 3. So what happens if somebody goes out with an injury and we need to replace them? That's the only way we're able to do it. And different league rules are a little different. Like Can-Am was able to carry a 30-man roster for each team and then have to make cuts again. And so if they're bringing in players now that they've made Allegheny's made it to the President's Cup, do they have to release players to bring these guys in?
Do you know if every team, like in Allegheny, did they carry that deep of a roster?
I believe they did. Like I know, talking with a couple of guys that, one player reached out to me that was on Allegheny off and on. We played when he could make it. He would fly in from Fort Lauderdale every chance he got to play. He didn't get picked for the final roster for President's Cup, which to me is kind of shitty because he's a good player. He's a good D guy. He's super fast. But I get it too. At the same time, they have to weigh their options, right? So again, they bringing in Colton Marquise. Are they letting a righty offense go? I guess we'll see.
That's interesting too, because like I wonder how that player feels, to be traveling that far, kind of dedicated to the team, and then now, I'm sure they wanted to be at the President's Cup.
Well, talking to this guy, he stays pretty positive about everything. He originally tried out for the Rivermen. Because of his schedule, because of where he lives, he was only able to make one tryout. I'm pretty sure that had he been able to make more, he likely would have been on the team, but the way things played out, he wasn't able to make them, so we couldn't really select him because he'd only been to one tryout. Not to deny his talent because it's there, but in talking to him, he was pretty positive. He just said, it's unfortunate, but there's always next year. So as Allegheny is like stacking up, how do you see the game of Allegheny versus the Rivermen? Because that was a big question. Well, I don't know if we play each other this President's Cup, it won't be till quarter or semifinals. Eventually, you will have to play. Yeah, that's fine. How do you see it playing out? Allegheny has a little different team than they had last year, but so do we. I think if it's possible, I think our defense got better. But is it better than Allegheny's? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty confident in that. Okay. Again, it'll come down to it's a chess match. When you get to junior, it becomes a chess match. The game becomes a chess match. Who are you going to play? Who are they going to play? You got to adapt. The difference is now when you get to President's Cup, you're only going to see these teams one time during this tournament, possibly two if you end up in the quarters or semis against each other again. So adjustments have to be made. Playing against Hamilton in the semifinal, it took us 2 games to make the adjustments that we needed to make. Playing against Brooklyn, even though we played each other all summer, when it gets playoff time, it's a whole new season, and teams up their intensity, they up everything. So we had to make those adjustments. We saw what Brooklyn did to us game 1 of the Ontario final, so we have time now to make these adjustments. You get the President's Cup, you have to make them on the fly. So that's the thing. There's no real time to make these adjustments. You have to do it on the fly. We saw what Allegheny had last year. Yeah, they squeaked out a win on us. 100%, that was a good game. People are saying to this day that was the best game of the President's Cup last year, Rivermen and Allegheny. There's different cards in the game now. There's different players now. Dustin's not with us. We have Ty Belanger and Elin. We would have liked to pick up a 3rd goalie. We still might be able to, but he'll have to be a goalie from either Senior C or Junior B or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do on that. Allegheny, obviously, I'm not going to say they've showed their hand, but they've showed their hand. But that's the same thing with the Muskies. They've showed their hand. All these teams that are there now have showed their hand. So, now that everyone's kind of showed their hand, they're showing their cards, do you walk in, how confident do you walk into the President's Cup? Because you already got a spot, regardless of whether, the series, you want to win the series, but regardless, you got a spot in the President's Cup. Everyone's showing their hands. You know who you got to play, the very first, we went over the brackets there. How confident are you? And who, of Muskies and Allegheny, who do you think is going to give you the better go? Well, again, I've watched Allegheny off and on. I've only watched the Muskies play a couple times online. We've seen Brooklyn all year. These other teams I have not even had a look at. I know that Ladner doesn't have the same lineup that they had. Good buddy, Alex Bouquet's a net for them. They can't take anything away from him as a goaltender. I think the biggest competition for the Rivermen is going to be Muskies, Allegheny, Ladner, and Brooklyn. I don't know where they rank us. Maybe to them we're just something they think they're gonna step over or sweep aside.
Maybe you're below Saskatchewan to them, right?
Oh,
never know.
Maybe you never know. But these other teams, some of them are coming in blind to us because we haven't seen them. We can research players, we can look at game highlights, but that doesn't show the whole game. That doesn't show the whole team. I can't take anything away from any of these teams because if they're good enough to get to the President's Cup, then yeah, they're going to be good competition. I know Snake Island has, their righty offensive side is loaded.
And St. Albert, we were talking about APs. It looked like they had some guys on their roster that were down as APs. Jarrett Toll, and then this Aaron Duff. I think he used the Woody. He was like a big guy with a couple of knee braces a few years ago. I don't know if they were, and then they had some games played on the Senior C, so I don't know if they're technically they were kind of some veteran guys from St. Albert, but all of a sudden they were down as APs and played a few Senior C games out there. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. It's the Wild Wild West, right? Especially with those teams of what's going on and what you see and what ends up coming, right, to President's Cup.
Well, and geographically, because the guys in Allegheny's pretty close to us. Again, Brooklyn we've seen them all year. Snake Island, we Rivermen players and Snake Island players have either played against each other or played with each other growing up. So they know each other. We know what Snake Island has. We know what Allegheny has. So again, it'll come down to a chess match. I don't think there's going to be any blowouts at this President's Cup at all. There was a few last year, but I don't think there's going to be any this year, whether it's us blowing somebody out or somebody blowing us out. I don't think that's going to happen at President's Cup with any team.
Because like you said, the Muskies, they got Jerry Stotts, right? Commutes back and forth.
Yep.
And then Adam Bomberry and Von Harris live out there now. And I'm trying to think. And Daniel Logan, right? Well, I guess he's family here,
they have
right?
Jonathan on there too.
Yeah, Briar Jonathan. Yeah, lives out there now. So like you said, a lot of players from here, right, that do play for the Muskies.
Yeah, and over the years growing up, minor played with and against each other. Junior, a lot of those guys have played here for junior. Again, they played with and against each other with some of the guys on Rivermen. So I think some of our younger guys that haven't had this experience and this exposure, I think they're the ones that may be in for a little bit of a shock. But we got a pretty good veteran core that has been there. Rivermen again have been in the OLA final every year of their existence.
Yeah.
So we do have a good veteran core. We always have. Even when I wasn't with the team, I noticed that they always had a good veteran core. Younger guys that are coming in, will I say we're in a bit of a rebuild? I don't think so. Well, there's just puzzle pieces that need to be filled, and we've filled them.
Like I said, guys get older. You bring the pipeline in from junior, right?
Yeah.
From the Rebels and from the Arrows. And
well, I mean, we brought in Thunder, and to the surprise of no one within our organization, he got MVP of the league.
So did you guys win everything but the Transition Player of the Year award, I guess?
I think there was 7 awards that the league gives out, and we got 4 of them.
It was bench staff. Rod Squire was a dedicated player, Ty Logan defender, and Thunder MVP. Yeah,
I honestly think Thunder should have got Rookie of the Year as well. But I mean, I think who got that? Did Will McLeod get that?
Because like I said, I know it wasn't what you showed us pre-announcement, and then so that's what I was wondering too. I was like, oh wow, Thunder was straight up MVP. And I just know their GM on another show announced them winning a player today. They're going to announce at the game was Transition Player of the Year.
Yeah, I mean if we won half or over half of the awards, that's a testament to the dedication of our players and of our organization. And each team gets to nominate players and vote on it. So if the other teams felt that Thunder deserved this, then 100% he deserved it. I felt he deserved it, but I also felt he deserved Rookie of the Year, coming in and being second in scoring. Only got beat by 2 points by Gareth Haig from Hamilton, and even Gareth, he's a veteran player of the league. He's been in it for a few years now. Him and his twin brother. I mean, and those two players, that was a great pickup for Hamilton to get
those were the guys who were there with by the fight.
Yeah.
That was their mom. Their mom who was the one who called the cops. Like, actually.
Wait, what fight?
Well, I don't know. When I was abused.
Then I know a lot of guys were happy to see Joe Hall back. What's this, like his over 10 President's Cups for Joe Hall? He's even been playing goalie, and he'll do anything for scrapper, right? And like, he's a friend of the pod, good guy, Joe Hall. And,
I mean, I met Joe a few years back, and I think it was a tournament. I can't remember if it was Legends Cup or not Legends Cup, Nations Cup or Dreamcatcher. I can't remember what it was, but Lane actually went and played for Joe Hall's team. So that's when I first met him, and great guy all around. But this President's Cup, I think, is going to be a tight race across the board. I don't think there's going to be a blowout anywhere. So
very even for sure.
And the way the format is this year, it gives every team a chance to rest too, because you are only playing 3 round robin games because they're divided into pools, right? I think we might be the only ones who still have to have a decision. Well, where both teams are going, but to decide a provincial champion. I'm not sure if BC's still playing or not.
So that's what's throwing us off. So you don't play Allegheny even though they're in your side?
We play Snake Island. I think whoever's representing Saskatchewan.
They had them on the other side, and you guys played Manitoba.
Okay, so Manitoba, and I didn't see who we played the third game.
Okay, so maybe there's just an extra team or whatever.
I don't know. I don't even know if the schedule's changed since I looked at it.
And Manitoba, Manitoba Blizzards, this would be their first time, right? In the President's Cup, or in very
first time in a long time. I think they've sent a team before, but honestly, I'm not worried about it. Like I said, the timing is not in my favor to be there for the whole President's Cup because I have to go away. But I'm confident the guys will, I'll get back, I believe, on the day off and then be there for the quarterfinals and semifinals. But I'm 100% confident that I'm not going to come home to the season being done.
Well, before we move on to the Elora and Ganowagi series and recap that, hopefully the President's Cup does go to Saskatchewan next year, because I would like to set up there. And we can't set up anywhere in Whitby. They have way too many bylaws.
Well, I don't want to talk about Whitby.
No. I'll say everything. Yeah, they got way too many bylaws.
Whitby hosting everything lacrosse. I mean, I get it. For the President's Cup, there was bids put in. We put one in. Brooklyn put one in. Every team has a chance to put in a bid. Then the board decides who gets it. But I've been miffed for years about how they get to host the Ontario Lacrosse Festival. All the millions of dollars get pumped into the area, and prices get jacked up as far as hotels, and it's ridiculous.
And even sounds like they may even get a Founders Cup in the future in that area, right? Maybe Clarington.
Like I said it last pod, I've said it over the years. For any team, any minor organization to have to go there and end up playing somebody within their zone makes no sense. It makes no sense to me. Like there's been years where we went to provincials, Six Nations has to play Welland. It makes no sense to me. We could have played that series here between us and Welland, or Whitby ends up playing Clarington. I mean, I don't even know if Clarington has a minor organization anymore, but that's to me, that's the logic of it. You go all the way out there to end up playing somebody that you're neighbors with. I say, in my humble opinion, go back to having playoff, play downs, center versus center, travel back and forth to those centers. To me, that's real playoff. That's real provincial lacrosse right there.
Alrighty. Well, let's move on to the Elora and Ganowagi series. What did you guys think of it? And let's talk a little bit about Game 5, how the fans were treated. Now, I know that in the beginning, a lot of fans were saying that like there was some type of weird segregation going on. There was like these yellow tapes and stuff. However, Ganowagi put out a statement and kind of cleared up that and gave their thoughts and opinions on basically the situation. What did you guys think of the situation and then the game itself?
Let's go back to game 1 and 2 first. Their goalie got suspended. I believe he sent some sort of clarification to the podcast social media page. To me, it just made him look worse.
Yeah.
I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. I do know that he was originally given 4 games. More than one person has come back and said he got 2. I seen it on social media that it was appealed and he got it dropped to 2 games. Mm-hmm. But in his own words, what he sent to the podcast, social media page, he's calling somebody what do you call her, a fat bitch or a fat pig or something?
Yeah,
it was something along the lines of that.
But that's his own words.
But he's like clarifying it as it's okay because I said it to a teammate.
To a teammate of who, though?
Yeah, I don't know, 100%. Like,
his own team?
Yeah, that's what
one of Ganawagi's players? It doesn't matter.
You can't blame Rebels fans either, right? Like,
no, and then game 3 and 4 is in Ganowagi, and they won those. And then after, from what I'm told, these comments in game 1 or 2 or whenever this happened in Elora were directed at their media person. What does a media person have to do with the game at all? Their job is to post stuff on social media, put out blurbs, put out this, put out that. They have no say in the outcome of the game. Game 3 and 4 happened in Ganowagi. After game 4, there was a ruckus in Ganowagi. Again, things were directed, and this is what I'm told, things were directed at this same media person. Again, what did she have to do with the outcome of the game? That would be like, well, maybe it's a bad example because people are already directing stuff at Chris and all he's doing is commenting a game.
Yeah.
Mistaking me if I'm wrong, but the media person is actually the owner's daughter. So, like, that's even kind of like you're going at the owner of the team's daughter. Like, what are you doing that for? Exactly.
Yeah. But there was a big dust-up after Game 4. I wasn't there. I don't know. I'm just going by what I was told directly. So come Game 5, yes, Ganowagi Hunters management did say that they requested X amount of seats be put aside. They had a bus full of fans going. We were going to go. And I had said that to you guys. If we're going to go, we got to go early because that place will be packed. Now then, Ganowagi management did say, yes, we requested spots. I might be wrong, but I thought I read where they did request to have that back corner. But I can't see them requesting only 50 seats.
Like you said, very gamesmanship, right? Like Elora played the gamesmanship and the tactics.
Yeah, like from my understanding, they wanted seats, and what they came to an agreement was with 50 seats. I'm sure there was way more fans that wanted to attend, but then they're like, hey, here's our max capacity. Here's how much we have delegated to our fans. Here's what we can give you. They probably could have gave a heck of a lot more seats and just said, hey, first come, first serve. If your fans get here, then they get here. If our fans get here, then they get here. But, like, I guess maybe Elora thought that was meeting in the middle, even though that 50 seats is not the middle.
They had a busload of fans going. There was someone on that bus that had posted, we got word when we were halfway there that we weren't going to get in. I can't see any organization asking for only 50 seats when they have a bus going that probably had more than 50 people on it. And like you said, not to mention fans that were going, that were driving themselves, like we were going to go. I have a family member who has a son from Six Nations that plays for Ganowagi, and she had said something along the lines of, there was, for people that were waiting in line to get in at the game, that they had a cooling station that they were letting certain people to go in and stay cool. And I guess she was mistaken for an Elora mom and was let into this cooling station. And then after she got in, she says, well, I was an Elora mom till I wasn't. Because then, like she said, I witnessed all of this. I was there live. I saw all this play out. And I get it. Again, Ganowagi management saying, yes, we did ask for seats to be held, but should you have to do that in the first place? And then there was rumblings that there was a pre-sale for tickets that some didn't know about. That's what I had said. Did Ganowagi fans know there was a pre-sale? We didn't know there was a pre-sale.
Yeah.
We could have got our tickets.
And then, like, the social media page is usually the one who advertises it. I didn't see nothing on no social media page.
And then I had read somewhere that it was a different social media page that posted the pre-sale. I don't know. It's, to me, it makes for a pretty good conspiracy. But at the end of the day, like, we even had Six Nations minor lacrosse executives out there who witnessed all of this. So I can't speak for them. I can only go by what I read or what was told to me personally from people who were there. It doesn't jive with what is being put out there to the media about, well, this is what really happened, and this is what really happened, and this is the way it went, and this is what was agreed upon. People that were there in person are saying, no, that might be what was in writing, but that's not what happened.
Well, like, sometimes, like, let's say that, you know, they still have to go to the Founders, right? They still have to go represent Ontario, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, maybe they're just trying to save face for now. Maybe we'll hear more of the story after the Founders Cup or something.
Honestly, it'll be. I'm in my experiences with stuff like this. It'll be put off till it's forgotten about.
Because, like you said, too, it was maybe a fan that reached out saying, hey, can you get more Six Nations people to the game? So even maybe them, right, they don't know that there's only a certain amount of tickets when they asked, and you shared it and stuff. But people, too, there was 2 Six Nations players on the team, right? So a lot of people wanted to go watch them as well.
Well, at the end of the day, we've, you know, in years prior, we've had junior teams who have had to play off against Orangeville and play off against Whitby. And the same thing, you know, a few years back, the Arrows in Orangeville were playing off. They took busloads of fans only to be stopped at the door, told that they weren't allowed in, and again go in and it's segregated. There's yellow tape up saying this is for this group of fans only. Why? Like, this is 1930s, 1940s back of the bus business, taping off sections for people. If we call ahead and say we want 50 tickets, we can specifically ask, yes, we want them all together. I get that. But if you're just showing up, if there's 100 fans showing up, what organization in this day and age can say, well, you have to sit right there?
Well, there's reports and articles, right? Allura wants to eventually be Junior A. So you can't be treating other organizations and kind of doing this kind of playing games, right? When teams, like, if they go Junior A, they need a bigger venue too, right? That seems to be the talks of, if they want to be Junior A, they can't have the smallest rink in town. Orangeville fans are going to want to go to games for Junior A, and Arrows fans, and are they just going to be saying, nope, your fans can't make it?
Well, and there is bigger venues in the area. There is. So I don't know why they wouldn't play out of a bigger venue. I mean, I get it. It's the same with the Rivermen leaving the Six Nations Sports Memorial Cultural Center and going to the ILA. That move, it's a bigger venue, and you know it feels more like home at the other arena for the players, and that's been their home for a long time. But we moved to a bigger venue, allegedly air conditioned. I know there's air conditioning issues at the ILA right now, but that's not on the team or the players. And that's, the air conditioner broke, and there's a part that they need to order, or it's been however long getting there. But that's not the point. The point is, yes, move to a bigger venue. It's not that hard. And I know that there is logistics behind it. You have to book this, you have to do this, you have to do that. I get it. But you got till April, when the season starts next year, from now to April, to do that.
And like you said, too, I didn't like that goalie's, like, yeah, he stuck a middle finger up at the Rebels game, had a buddy of ours in mind and stuff, right? So it's like,
and then there's like so
blame.
many different angles of footage of all this stuff, and then, like, to try to deny it, it's like,
you can't say we're not fact checking, and it's the Rebels that started with me. We watched you elbow guys and heard the stories of you elbowing guys, and he's a kid and maybe he'll learn, and I don't want to drag a younger kid, but, like, you know what I mean, minor or whatever, he'll learn, but supposedly, right? But he does flip the finger off, and my buddy here, he's just filming the fight video of him versus the goalie. He says he puts his phone down. You see it on the 519 Sports, even the kind of last second of him flipping off. Why are you flipping our fans off? You wouldn't like it if our players started flipping your mom and dad off.
Yeah, it's just like, it shows more about his character, and when you start looking at, like, his character or whatever, like, no one in the lacrosse world with money is gonna want to put money behind someone who acts like that.
Well, I still giggle, and I posted it. You know, for since 1968, They called themselves Mohawks. That's got changed now. So were they chanting "Let's go Mohawks," playing against the Mohawk team?
They had the Jordan cry face, right?
And then deny Mohawk fans in their building. I guess you didn't want to be a Mohawk that bad.
Well, there was one fan, someone who was there at the Elora game who was neither, like, they're not even from Elora. I don't know where they're from actually, but they were at that game and they were basically saying that, like, the first game they were chanting like Casey Suggs, which I think is the goalie of Ganowagi. So they were taunting the goalie of Ganowagi. So, you know, maybe maybe this the goalie of Elora learned that from his parents, and his parents were the one in the fans chanting at the goalie in Ganowagi. Like, you know,
well, I mean,
it doesn't fall too far from the tree, right?
Fans get it. Like, our fans, I remember being at junior games, would get on the other team's goalie. I get it. We get it. We all do it. But to that extent, I don't think so.
Well, like, I love taunting, and like it's good. Like, it's good for fun, you know, and all that stuff. It's funny and all that. But, like, at some point, it's like it's a serious game, and if you're gonna cost your team a suspension or something like that, and you're a valued player or a valued goalie, I would just be like, oh no, I'm bigger than this. I mean something more than to just taunt.
Well, at the end of the day, can they, do they, will they, should they leave it on the floor or at the arena? I get fans can be very raucous. I get that. Our fans can be too. But to carry it on and on and on and on and go on social media and run your mouth, I'm guilty of it too, but I don't go to the extent where I'm messaging people or groups and trying to pick fights. I have gotten messages over things that I've commented on. Like, I got one the other morning. It said, "Quit playing victim," and I was messaged back, and I said, "I'm not sure I know what you're talking about, but you have a good morning."
You have a good morning.
And the guy messaged back, and he said, "Oh, I thought you deleted my comment on this." I said, I'm not an admin of that social media group. I just a regular follower like you.
And I don't think I've ever deleted any comment ever on the Creators game.
And I didn't see the comment he was talking about, but he directed it at me, thinking that I deleted it. He also apologized, and we had a pretty good short conversation where I just said, "I'm just a fan like you. I have my opinions. In the heat of the moment, I might say what I said, and I own it. But I'm not going to drag it on and on and on. And like, just from what we said today, once this is posted, I'm sure that Elora goalie will message the Instagram page again."
What you really got to do is you got to go on TikTok. That's where you can argue for days. Like, the comments on there are relentless. And what's funny is, people will make like, they'll have their Instagram, and like it'll be them, and they'll be more professional. They'll never leave comments, but then they'll make a TikTok, and then they'll just leave a whole bunch of comments, and I can just look at the picture and be like, "You're the same person on Instagram who likes all our stuff. Why don't you leave that same comment on Instagram so you can comment?" Like, why not?
I'm not going to get on the TikTok.
And Elora has some good players, right? McDougal,
They do,
and,
yeah.
And that Nate's going to Stony Brook and stuff. So, like, you know, hats off to them. They did just win a Founders Cup last year. And then I like the Baby Blue, like the announcer guy, when he was talking about the Levi, is it Wilson? Or he was talking to the guy's grandma, right? And just said they had a really good conversation with the grandma, nice lady, and it was good. He was talking on the broadcast about heated battles, right? But you still meet good people in lacrosse. And then I heard him after they congratulated, and she said, "I hope you guys win." And the fans were being nice after.
That's the flip side of the coin. Like, yeah, I get on Elora about the whole Mohawk thing, but I can't paint the whole town with the same brush. I'm sure, I know that we have fans here at Six Nations that are diehard and would defend all of our teams to the death. Same with Elora, same with all of these other centers. They have their diehard fans, but leave it at the arena. Again, if you have to come off, and I mean, I know that people talk shit about us all the time. It draws viewers. If you want to watch me be a loudmouth on here for the sake of watching to hate me, you're still a fan because you're still watching.
Yeah, it's usually the way it goes. And even for Elora, like, they do have very good players, like that Evan McDougal, if I'm saying his last name right.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I invited him to come on the show because he was number
4, I believe.
Yeah. And there was number 12 as well.
12 or 21, I believe that Nate is. I can't remember. But
Yeah.
both really good players,
Yeah, they
right?
wanted to come together. So like, yeah, if they want to come on the show, they were really dope.
100%. We're still growing the game. We can have our disagreements, but we can still grow the game. I know a guy that grew up in that area, and he said to me, "There's a reason why I refuse to play Junior B lacrosse in Elora for this exact reason, because of the." I'll say culture with that resides with a few people in that organization or with the fan base. I'm not sure. I can't put the blame on everybody. But for Six Nations fans and teams, now Ganowagi, and I've heard that there's other teams that have went in there and been treated like dirt. I can't say, can we say that their issues are directed at us or at any opponent of their team, period? That's the thing. That's the same our argument, same discussion we've had with Orangeville fans. And I said, maybe they're just as passionate about their team as we are about ours. And I get it.
And for Founders Cup, I'd say they would probably be the favorite. Usually the Ontario team is Hunters. And then I think they're almost the same thing. I think is it them and Seneca, I think might have been in the same bracket, the War Chiefs. And then but they haven't been in since before COVID, so they're always usually one of the good teams. Coquitlam Junior B, I'm sure their Junior A team's a powerhouse. I'm sure the Junior Bs will be good, and I think Calgary's the host. They won in 2019, so those are kind of four of the teams I think that got a shot.
And I believe Calgary beat the Rebels.
Yep.
It was really cool during the that Game 5 there. I was just watching on my TV there. My son would come in the room every now and then. He doesn't care about lacrosse at all. So I'm just sitting there watching the game, and I think it was Cayman had gotten a goal, and then like, oh, Cayman die ball with a goal, like hyping him up and all that stuff. My son came in, he seen I was excited, and I was like, hey, I know him, I interviewed him, like, hey son, I was like totally fanning out, but I was like, it was like one of those moments, right? Like, oh, like I know I'm not there, but I feel like I'm a part of this, right? Because like, hey, I interviewed him, and then like Owen got a bunch of goals too,
Owen
and then,
Rice,
yeah. So I was just like, oh, and like some of these names, like the last names as I'm hearing them, and I'm just like, hey, like I remember them, or I'm seeing pictures of people in the fans, and like, hey, I recognize them at the party and different things like that, right? Like, so I'm like, it's cool to be a part of a community, I guess, and not really being there.
That's the party you guys snuck off to behind my back and left me at the hotel.
You were supposed to come.
Now, since we've interviewed those folks and we watched them play, I wonder what the chances of Ava Gabriel being in a Hunter's uniform. That would be something.
Yeah, it'd be something.
I mean, she does play Junior C.
Yep.
I wonder if she's able to make the jump to Junior B. She did say she's better than her brother, remember?
But okay, so we have to have the conversation. Even if she doesn't make it, though, there's going to be people who are going to be like, "Oh, you just did that because she's a girl." So you like, as the coach or a general manager, it's like you kind of can't win with that one.
I mean, if she's got the talent,
because you kind of want to put her in position because she could be a star.
If she's got the talent, why not give her the shot?
Yeah.
I've watched her play. Seen video highlights of her playing. She fits. She's legit. She's a legit player. I don't think yes, people will take it as a publicity stunt, but I don't think having her on a junior men's team is a publicity stunt. She's got the talent.
And I believe she was just still doing U22 women's, right? Because this weekend in Peterborough is the women's major series provincial finals. I didn't see how our Attack did yesterday. They started kind of early, those games. So the Grand River Attack local women's team, shout out to them. Hopefully they bring home a provincial championship this weekend, either A or B, right? I'll bring one of them home. And then that Turtle Island would be the other kind of more native team.
But I believe it's Kingston has quite a few native
Kingston
players.
Does too, yeah.
London
and stuff. Yeah, London would too.
I think there's at least one native player on Mimico.
Yeah, because like some of those, since it is kind of a tournament league, you can kind of play wherever you want.
Peterborough.
Yeah.
Is there?
They're the host, and
isn't their goalie native?
She could be from Curve Lake, maybe.
I believe she might be Deacon Knott's sister.
Yeah. There we go. Right, yeah, Deacon Knott does have a sister that plays goalie. Yeah.
Yeah, because Deacon and his dad were both, livid that she wanted a wall stick, and they were both like, "Don't you get that ugly thing?" She bought it one practice, said, "I hate this thing."
Should I play field goalie too? I think there's.
So yeah, pretty much every team across the WMSL has at least one native player.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying all of them do, but most of them do. I mean, and again, it's growing the game.
And a big league too, to have to start their provincials on a Friday morning for women's league, right? Most of these kind of adult leagues start usually Friday evenings and stuff.
I got a twist for you guys just to try to ruffle some feathers. Does the PLL have any Indigenous players out there?
I said they didn't really have
any strong players willing to go over there and endorse that league?
I almost feel like that league's AI.
Mm-hmm. AI.
Like Zed Williams probably was going to play again if he wasn't hurt, but it would just been really him this year. Right? Obviously, I don't even think Kyle Jackson really even plays anymore. And the casino guy.
Zeddy pulled me aside.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I was telling you guys. Zeddy pulled me aside. First thing he says is, I want to give you guys a shout out. You're doing great things by helping grow the game and helping have people have a better understanding of where we come from. And I talked to him briefly about that, and he talked to me about PLL, about coming back to play box. I'll leave that conversation in the vault for now, because I think that stuff that he's told me should come from him, not me.
Now, we filmed, and then last weekend, Rochester Nighthawks were bought by Seneca. Does a player like Zed Williams get traded over to Rochester? So they're going to get some native blood in there, kind of in their lineup. And, he's a fan favorite and a local boy. He'd be a great pickup for
yes,
Nighthawks.
having Seneca Casino buy Rochester Nighthawks, does that open a door for more Indigenous players?
Yep. And like I joked with a buddy, I think they must have sponsored the Bandits. A buddy the other night had Bandit shirt on, Seneca Casino on this side. I said, you got to get a new shirt, man. They bought the other team. But yeah, and that was big, right? How they hid that, right? It was after we filmed last Monday that they were like, hey, we have a big announcement Tuesday. So it went from kind of those rumors of Wegmans is buying them to up in the air when we filmed to then all of a sudden Seneca. And that was cool too. They're like the full owners, where I forget Mohegan's son technically was a partial owner of the Black Wolves, because they do have investors for Albany. And there's even talks of maybe some other teams moving, right? So there may be more movement coming.
Well,
and stuff.
And now with the CBA being, the date keeps getting put off.
So does something like this mean good for money-wise for players? Because I'm sure the casino owning that team brings up they have a lot of money now, and they can probably pay more for players. Like,
you'd still be in the NLL salary cap, right, in the CBAA, but it makes a big deal for having stable ownership, right, and a place with big deep pockets, right? They don't got to worry about penny pinching. But there are other things that you can get other than a salary. Like, I'm sure at the casino they're giving them vouchers every game. They're not allowed. They're not allowed to. Cause like when the Black Wolves were in Mohegan's Sun, they were employees, so those Black Wolves players weren't allowed to gamble at the casino. Away teams players could, but they weren't. Like, they maybe, you could say maybe those guys did or not, but they weren't technically allowed to. And like all those players would say they. Well, I'm sure they get tickets to like all the free entertainment. Sure, maybe they do something like that. Yeah, like concerts and stuff. I think they did do stuff like that. And then Seneca Casino, like I'm sure they own other things. That's the thing. Once you get into these giant companies, they own a whole bunch of stuff. All of a sudden, you're getting discounts at like certain sport checks because they own the plaza and
there's more than one Seneca Casino.
Yeah, like you said, there's Buffalo, there's Niagara, there's Allegheny, right? So
are they a conglomerate?
I think so, right? Like you figure.
Well, at the end of the day, though, there is stability there. Like you said, there is ownership stability there now. A lot of teams probably would appreciate having something like that more. I mean, obviously, Buffalo's not going to go anywhere. Buffalo Bandits are not going to go anywhere. Rochester Nighthawks have been a staple, whether or not it's this version of the Nighthawks or the version that Kurt owned. But you saw how fast that they put a team back in Rochester after Kurt moved the team to Halifax. You saw how fast it did. So they know lacrosse is a staple in Rochester. So kudos to Seneca Casino for stepping up and buying that team and leaving it there, because they could have moved it. I mean, I know there's paperwork and there's a lot of stuff has to be done if you're going to move a team, but they gave them that stability now. So I hope that Rochester fans will continue to support the team. They've got new Rochester fans because of this new ownership. And again, will they give more Indigenous players a shot at the NLL?
You know what I think that like lacrosse is kind of being like? I think of lacrosse almost like hip hop in the 90s. of like right now in Canada, there's a big culture shift of like people, a lot of eyes are on like Indigenous people, and they're saying a lot of things, but somehow our voices are getting silenced. So the only way that you can actually be heard is by doing something else. You have to be like a big star at something else and then say something. So it's kind of like how hip hop was like in the 90s, where you kind of have to like, you be from New York City or something like that, and then you get a reputation, you go out there and you make a hit, a banger or something like that.
And then get shot.
Well, no, but that's all propaganda and stuff like that. That's all like what kind of like got pushed onto that type of culture. But what I'm getting at is like hip hop is kind of like hip hop culture is kind of like lacrosse culture right now. And it's like the beginning stage of it, I feel. And like the Can-Am League is kind of like underground hip hop, like selling mixtapes out of your like that's what I think of it as when I think of like how I would market it. So when I think of owners of teams and stuff like that, as you think of like these Can-Am players, think of them as like young hip hop stars, and just take the marketing strategy of the 90s and just use it towards lacrosse. That's the way I would think of it. Like just like if you want to create a actual star of a lacrosse player, use it. Think of it like hip hop in the 90s.
I think look at the mid 2000s. That's when our native players were on the rise. Cody, Sid, huge market for them with them too in Syracuse. Then the Thompson brothers came along, ended up with Nike contracts, and then you get other players coming in, kind of supporting cast who are now big stars. Randy Stotts, like those guys came in. Lacrosse globally. It is global.
But when I say like the mixtape era, like what you're explaining like people who went out there and played on the floor and got picked by people. So that's like getting a record deal and someone going out there and like a talent person going out there and finding you and then making the record for you. Nowadays, these kids or these players have cell phones. Those are like the mixtapes. Mm-hmm. That's the way that their talent's getting seen. That's the way the Can-Am players are like, whoa, look what they're doing. Even though they don't have like no big arena, they have no big budget, they have the power of that cell phone. And it's the exact same thing as when the hip hop and like mixtape era was. Dat Piff. Think of it like Dat Piff. And I know you don't know too much about that. Dat Piff, but like, yeah, if you think about Dat Piff, everyone was running there to get the latest mixtapes. Mm-hmm. Well, now everyone is running to Instagram or to Lax Tilly to get the fights, or to whatever platform that you go to get your content that is considered culturally lacrosse. It's no different. And if you can figure out a way to market the same way with Dat Piff and different things like that, I think you can grow a real star within lacrosse that can do more than just play lacrosse. I mean, like a huge superstar.
I see what you're saying, and I see how it works, but I see how it is working for a league like the NABL League, because a lot of players left Can-Am to play in that league. So it does work, but to me, I think it's working for one league in particular more so than any other.
And shout out to that NABL League too. I think their championship's in Milwaukee next week. So that's pretty cool that they get they have all the sections of the Floridas, the 2 upstate teams, the downstate New York, California, Minnesota. Everybody's just so the whole country pretty much meets up in Milwaukee this year.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah.
I'll even take it a step further. I see the NLL kind of like New York hip hop and PLL like LA. Even though it is kind of like it is in California, but like, you know, that whole like, I don't know, just the competitive vibe. And if you could use the marketing strategy, you could probably blow up both leagues and have really some big successful leagues.
I think the PLL's already spent its wad. It's, in my opinion, it's not even on the same grade as the NLL.
And really, even some of those other like things. I watched a little bit more this year just because I was catching games on a Friday or a Saturday, but it's tough for Alex in that league. They kept over 8 teams. They never really grew much. And I know Rabel was talking to Paul Carcaterra and just says, in 10 years, I want to have 12 teams. He's like, I didn't say 30, you know, I'm not trying. But it's tough, even like they're going to be around for 20 years and only have the 12 teams. Like, well, for what he said at the start, they were going to be the next biggest league.
Well, they really need to start with actually growing the game, because in order to have teams, you need players, and you need to have like top-notch players. And I think all the top-notch players are playing in the NLL, unfortunately.
Well, that's the thing. If you ask a kid right now, and it's been this way to my recollection about probably the last 15 years, and I know the PLL isn't 15 years old, but before that there was the MLL.
Yeah.
If you ask me, any kid around here, if you say, who's your favorite lacrosse team, they name an NLL team. I have yet to hear a kid name a PLL team. I mean, if you ask kids over in the U.S. where lacrosse is big, like in the Rochester area, upstate New York, places like that, I'm sure some of them will say a PLL team or an old MLL team. I remember talking to kids, being at tournaments, field lacrosse tournaments in Rochester, and talking to kids from the U.S., and I'd say, who's your favorite team? Right away, Rochester Rattlers. Or they would name a different MLL team. But right now, I have yet to hear a kid say, when I grow up, I want to play in the PLL. I have not heard that.
The big thing, too, is with the growth of lacrosse in the States seems to be Texas seems to be big. A lot of people are throwing around money, getting either big-time former D1 coaches, hey, we're going to pay you money, or Sean Evans is doing a lot of coaching there. Then this true Utah seems to be also the next frontier of Brian Benesh was down there coaching this week, and just a lot of these guys kind of throwing money around and trying to bring pro players in or bring Canadian players in to coach the kids, either with box or field, which is kind of crazy, right? Like maybe Utah will be a hotbed someday, right? Like a Colorado and stuff. And
will they try to use the same name as they did for their hockey team?
Maybe, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that everything that you brought up is true though, but because I have never heard anyone say like a PLL team that they want to be a part of. Like, I don't think anyone on this show has ever said, hey, like, who do you want to play for? And they said a PLL team or even suggested that. And I'm sure they all play field.
Like I said, those Bandit fans, maybe for a little while, they were like the chaos because they had Burns and Dane Smith. But now they're going to the live streams or going to the arena watching them play Chiefs, and now they're buying all the Chiefs merchandise, and more or less they just like those players more than even like it. I'm a diehard Chaos fan, and now they're, and maybe like I seen like when you watch those videos, Carolina, they play those because it seems weird. Their model now is like that they're actually city based or state based. The one weekend Carolina plays 2 games. They go to Carolina the one weekend, all the teams, but they'll play 2 games, or they go to Denver. Denver plays the 2 games that weekend, where Carolina looked like the old Charlotte Hounds fans.
Yeah.
We're kind of like, oh, okay, I guess we'll jump on this guy's bandwagon or stuff like that. Like, I don't know. But then stuff, you only play one weekend in Utah for the Archers, or one weekend in Albany for the New York Atlas. And it's like, how do you really grow that fan base? Or Rabel's losing out on season ticket holders, right?
Well, and in some places, a PLL team might be the only professional lacrosse they get to see. So yes, they do have fans. Obviously, they do have fans.
Yeah.
But at the same time, again, BC, Ontario, they're the 2 lacrosse hotbeds. Box lacrosse hotbeds. And out of a lot of these teams, PLL, I'm going to assume, is gearing a lot towards more U.S. field lacrosse players. But all of these teams, their big names have all come from box lacrosse backgrounds.
And even a few of those, when they did that list, I think Laxman dropped it earlier in the year of what guys were playing both PLL and NLL. The more of the list I noticed was the guys playing both were those American players, the Tarafankos and the O'Keefes and Brendan O'Neills, right? Where like those Burns and Dane Smiths now are playing in the summertime here, or Mitch Jones, like all those big names. They didn't really lose a lot of those Canadian box players, right? They all came back to play summer ball, where summer ball didn't lose out like people thought years ago.
Yeah.
Obviously, some guys stayed, right? Hossack and different guys, Jeff Teat.
Does the PLL, like you guys were talking about, like the CBA and like having like caps of how much players can get played in the NLL? Does this PLL have a larger cap? Is that why people are willing to go there?
Yeah, I think they were trying to.
Because like no one's going there to compete at the highest level because they're not the highest level, but you can get the highest grade of pay.
Yeah, I think at the first they were like 40 to 50,000 US, and they were kind of coming in with a higher margin than even the ML, because they were trying to outbid the MLL, where you were getting a little less money, and if you didn't play, you didn't get paid. I think you do get some money for PLL even if you don't dress that weekend. So, but a lot of guys don't like to travel, right? You lose a guy, Josh Burns, because every weekend you have to travel, or even they lost a couple players in those early days where they were like, I live in New York and my job's this. I'll just play for the New York Lizards, where I know a couple of weekends I can just drive over, take the quick 30-minute train ride, rather than every weekend of PLL I have to fly to a new state.
That's a sick name, the New York Lizards.
Yeah, they were cool.
That's sick.
And then that was the thing too, where PLL, when they, after COVID and that bubble season, they bought the MLL rights. He brought back the Cannons, now the Boston Cannons, which this year they were celebrating 25 years of them being around, so they're the longest standing pro team because they were MLL, and then as soon as MLL folded and PLL bought them, he threw them right in right away. So there, the 25 years of pro lacrosse is really just that Cannons and Boston Cannons now. And then when they went states, they made the Chrome Denver Outlaws. So he brought back 2 MLL names where it had Lizards, Rattlers, Hounds. He kept all those dormants. I guess he sells the merchandise. Like I saw a guy that was like calls games or does like some writing for Inside Lacrosse. Is like, since he has to be bipartisan, he bought the old Rattlers hat at the merch table because he's like, they're not around anymore. It's just a throwback hat. But
I went and watched a couple of Rattlers games being over there for minor field tournaments, and it was good lacrosse.
Yeah, it used to be fun watching the Lizards.
But again, I didn't know anybody. Didn't recognize any names.
But even then, with the MLL back in the day, those guys got helmet and gloves, and if they were practice squad or active roster and didn't dress, they weren't getting paid, right? So then those guys would just go back, play the men's league with their MLL stuff on, and just kind of ride it out and quit after a year or two.
Now, we do have a few questions to get to because we do have to get out of here by 12 o'clock because you have to be at the Rivermen game. So let's try to get to some of these questions here. Let's get to, this is a big one right now. The Air Canada strike is now holding up a bunch of teams from making it to Founders, and also teams that are currently in Halifax. Team First Nations are trying to return home. What's your guys' thought on the Air Canada strike thing and affecting lacrosse? What should we do?
A lot of people seem to be blindsided by that, but and I know not a lot of people watch the news. Everybody relies on TikTok for the news. But I'm a little older, so I do still watch the news. I had heard about this strike weeks ago.
You know the news is propaganda, right?
So is TikTok.
Yeah, that's true.
But if the news is going to come on and say Air Canada flight attendants possibly striking, blah, 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 maybe you should pay attention to that if you're booked with an Air Canada flight. I'm not putting it on the people that have booked these. A prime example is Ganowagi Hunters really didn't have a choice as to what airline they were flying out on because the OLA booked that. But having said that, that happened to the Rivermen last year going to President's Cup. We had guys actually checked in and in the terminal while the rest of us were in line trying to check in at the airport, at Pearson International Airport, and our flight was canceled. So we had to scramble between us and the airline. We found flights, 5 different flights for our players to get there. And people are saying, don't take the Air Canada refund because then you will be stranded. Make Air Canada find you a flight because that is their duty, I guess. But yes, it stranded more than one team. As of before, when I got here, there was talk of Ganowagi booking a bus. They looked into a private charter, which was going to cost them over $80,000 one way. There was talk of going into Vermont, flying to Montana, and then 5-hour bus ride to Calgary. There's a lot of options, but you shouldn't have to be put in that situation. This falls on Air Canada to help them find flights. And if the OLA paid for that, I would hope the OLA is also doing as much as possible to try to help them get there. We did have help from the OLA last year when we were literally in the airport scrambling. We had a couple of OLA higher ups on the phone. They were calling the travel agent. They were calling the airport. They were doing their part. I give them kudos to that. Shout outs to them for that. But this should not be on any team to try to get themselves there. It should be on the organization, their whatever league they're playing for, OLA or whoever else is stuck, whatever organization they're from. But it is on Air Canada to get them there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people were just kind of like trying to reach out for help and like asking like, oh, like does anybody live in like this local area that we could kind of go like or even a large Airbnb that a whole team could go to at like a reduced rate due to the circumstance. Yeah. And then that if the Air Canada could compensate these Airbnbs because of the circumstance.
It'll probably be a long, drawn out process to try to get any money out of Air Canada for something like that. I
don't know. If Air Canada wants to sponsor the show, we're always here, though.
Granted. I mean, I like getting on airplanes, but I don't like my flights canceled.
I'm not that tall. I don't need that much knee room, Air Canada. I can fit in small compartments.
Yeah, a guy the other day, he's supposed to take his 25th anniversary to his wife in Italy. And I said, have fun next week. And he's like, we'll see about the Canada strike. And I was like, oh, yeah. And then seeing some posts on social media at the time, I was even thinking, like, hey, well, I don't know if they're flying JetBlue or not, or what they're kind of booking, right? Like, so, but then I was like, oh, that's
got the PJ.
Sucks for a lot of those teams, right?
Got the private jet going.
Well, and even people who are on the East Coast that were there for minor nationals or whatever, they were there for Canada Games, whatever, because there was more. There's more than one thing going on out there.
Yeah.
Now they're stuck. They're stuck out there. So I saw one friend of ours, friend of the show, went out there, used it as a mini vacation as well. Now has to drive home and was scrambling this morning to try to rent a vehicle and did find one. He's on his way home, but like that's just one example of people that are being stranded out there. But again, there was news of this strike weeks ago.
And how did the games go out there? I know that how many teams actually went out there? Because I sent stickers out there. I sent stickers and just a couple T-shirts.
I honestly don't even know how many teams went because I don't have anybody in minor. I've kind of not really paying attention to it, but I do know that for some people, our good friend Kevin Sandy, for one, shout out to Kevin. He does a lot with the Iroquois Lacrosse program. He came home a little early because of the wildfires out there too. They had to change venues, and in some of these venues that they had to relocate to, there wasn't space. So I know with Kevin and what he does and how he sets up and how he's interactive and demonstrates the game itself, there wasn't room for him to do all of that. So he came home early, which might have been a blessing in disguise because of the strike.
And that was the thing so he was in New Brunswick, and I think that was what the Canada something or others, and that was like so if they would have sent a U17 team there, but then the rest of the Canada Nationals for the younger ages was held in Halifax.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, again, they split it up. So really just First Nations sent out a U15 and a U13 team. I think both won bronze for boys, and then they had a U22 and a U15 girls team. But they're kind of split, I guess, so they had different logos and different things. But
yeah.
But yeah, Tyler and Chuck Brown, I know, did a good job for sure with the men's teams and the boys' teams, and had a lot of local coaches from Six Nations and stuff on the U13 team. Seemed like they were pretty Six Nations heavy. A couple local guys, too, on the U15 team. Then there was also a girl from here on the U15 Team Ontario team. And I don't know if the other girl was U17 or U22, so there was even a couple of girls from Six Nations on Team Ontario, which is nice to see as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of our topics we have to get to is what is going out in... What's the name of the town out there? Like, where are they? Korea? Not Korea.
South Korea, yeah.
South Korea.
Juju Island?
Yeah, Juju.
So I saw the post Ryder Johnson made a nice save today. So I don't know if because they're so far away, if those games are played in the middle of the night and stuff. But
I think the last game they just played, I saw it this morning, they got beat in overtime by Australia.
Okay, and that's who I thought they were playing when the save was Australia. I saw some highlights of some Owen guy on Team USA. He was really good, and then.
Is that Duffy? Is that his name?
That Duffy guy, that Owen Duffy guy? Yeah. I was going to look him up where I was like, oh. But like I said, younger players, right? And Haudenosaunee, that Logan Lee, long pull from Tufts. He's Seneca Nation, lives in Colorado, though. He's their captain, along with Dalen John Hill from the Arrows. Mm-hmm. And then since they didn't make the Minto, and those guys were alternates, now I see they're on the regular team. Dalen John Hill and Noah Snyder and Chase Cogan, right? Chase Cogan plays for a powerhouse high school like West Tennessee and Q's. Dalen John's on Jacksonville, and Noah Snyder's Marquette, and then they're all Six Nations Arrows. So,
And then I seen that one of the questions that actually came to the account was someone asking about some of the players who didn't attend the Worlds because they're staying back for the Minto, and if we knew who some of those players were.
That's always tough because some of those guys maybe never really announced, or I was trying to even kind of fish around a little bit, and then they were kind of like, I don't know if those guys technically told the team no, because maybe early in trials they decided not to try out. So like I said, some of those Arrows guys maybe were kind of alternates, and then now they're on the regular because they didn't make the Minto. And then a big player for Canada is that Little John. And that name's always stood out for me, obviously, because of the rapper, right? Talking about
Little John. Yeah.
But that guy, he's really good. And he was MVP of Ontario Junior A, and he left series versus Orangeville. So that sucks for Whippy. They lost their main player. He plays for Richmond University. They also had a really good season, made the quarters for Division I, and looked like he was a good OHL junior A hockey player. So
Didn't Whitby lose 4 players to the Worlds?
it was Little John, and it sounded like they lost their face-off guy, and I'm not too sure who else. And then Victoria, I guess, lost their goalie after winning one game or versus Coquitlam. So they were like, oh, you lose your goalie in these finals. But hey, those guys...
That's got to be a hard one right there, to lose your goalie.
Yeah, and usually this tournament's in July. So that other years they've never had this, and it's tough because maybe a guy's... Brett Bucktooth Jr.'s on the Hunters. It looks like he ended up going to the... So he'll miss the Founders. And then I noticed there was another good Ganowagi player. I was surprised he wasn't on any teams. Looked like he played more summer club lacrosse in the States, so maybe he didn't go out for any team. I saw he was on the Upstate box. That was cool the other week. Did you guys see that, the Upstate collegiate box? I didn't watch any games, really, just some highlights. And some of those same players were on the Buffalo team. Kogan, Dalen, John Hill, that Ganowagi guy. So he played in the field league, the box league in the States, along with his club field to be on the Worlds rather than, I guess, playing Hunters and stuff. But yeah, it should be a good tournament. I don't know if I'll watch any games or catch any games of the Worlds, but
I honestly don't know how to find it. Like, I know a lot of like the Minto Cup, and we were talking about this like I think just before you got here. But like, who is streaming the Minto, Founders, and the Presidents? Because they're all different, right? You have to like buy these rights or whatever.
Yeah. So that NLL Plus streamed those collegiate games the other week, and then they're also streaming the Minto, which starts today. So we noticed that we had some fun with Photoshop the other day.
Yeah.
They ended up picking a lot of the TSN crew that does the NLL games. They'll be doing the Minto along with Jonathan Donville, who can't call NLL games because he plays for Vegas, but he called a lot of the OJLL games, so they kind of bring him into the mix. So, and then
how come they didn't ask you, Vale?
I don't know. They didn't get the
Would you have done it?
Yeah, I would give it.
That? You guys missed out.
I'd love to be in the booth with Pat Gregoire and Jake Elliott. Let's get it going.
And BC Sports have the exclusive rights for broadcasting the Founders Cup.
Founders Cup, and then it looks like I don't know how JVI is doing it for the President's Cup. If that's just JVI page, or like we were talking earlier, it seems like JVI does it on the OJLL page, or so I don't know if they're going to be like an exclusive President's Cup page, or
I don't know, but I got to find out because I'll be away filming, and the only way I'm going to be able to watch is on live stream or repeat.
And then Man Cup maybe will be paid like it was years ago out there when it was out. Usually those senior A games out west you got to pay for. So
you got they got a paywall in front of it.
Yeah. So then
well, it better be a good high quality then.
Yeah. So we'll have to see who. That series looks to be tied. Coquitlam won game 1, and I believe New West won game 2 for WLA. Yeah. And like we said, tomorrow's Chiefs Peterborough game 1.
Yeah, lots of lacrosse, even though everything's kind of coming to an end a little bit, but still, I see that even some of the social media pages of the NLL teams are starting to gear up and starting to hype up some of their new players and different things like that, and what they're doing in, I guess, the off season. So you can tell that they're going to start getting into promo time very soon.
If they can come to an agreement with the Players Association.
Got moved back to 29th, draft September 6th, so hopefully they can get something done before then.
Yeah. And if you're looking for a social media guy, hit me up. BeyondPride.com. info@BeyondPride.com as well. And do you guys got any last minute things? Because we do have to get out of here. I know you have to go.
I think that was really it. Yeah, Minto Cup starts today, and like you said, game 2 for you guys. And
I know this will come out probably after our game, but tomorrow, 17th, will be game 3 of the Ontario Final in Whitby, 4 p.m. I won't see you there, but you can go watch.
Anything for yourself, Vale? You got any announcements? your card show?
Yeah.
Come out to the card show? Because I'll have this out tonight.
Yeah, come out tomorrow, 5 p.m. Level Up, and it should be a fun time, and bring some stuff, buy, sell, trade, and should be some good action there. Nice VIP room at Level Up.
Yeah, come check it out, and make sure that you go check out our skills competition. If you want to sponsor, get involved, hit us up, info@beyondpride.com. All the information for the registration is going to be in the description. Kids, make sure your parents sign you up. We're going to have a whole bunch of cool free giveaways. Yes, all day, a whole bunch of things to give away because I'm reaching out to a bunch of cool people who are just like, let's just make this a really cool event. So it's all for you guys. We're going to interview you guys and do the best we can to give you the best broadcast to show you guys what's possible for next season. So you guys stay in the gym, keep working, do what you got to do, and the season's never over. It's never over. But until next week, we're out of here. Creators Game Podcast. Peace.